Welcome, everybody. Another Noob Hammer interview. This time I'm with Andrew Walker. It is 5:45 a.m. here in Oregon, and I believe it is 10:45 p.m. there in Tasmania. Am I right?
It certainly is, yeah. Getting late, but that's all right. Always things to do.
Yeah. Thank you again for all the reschedules and all of that. I know it's a little insane when you're talking to somebody on the other side of the world. So Andrew here, he took 14th place at the North and South GT, piloting the new Grey Knights. He's got an interesting take on some of the meta lists that we're seeing right now. I use meta in air quotes because right now there is not really a Grey Knights meta. It's a brand new codex and everybody's still figuring things out. So um, let's just jump right in. Andrew, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been playing Warhammer, what got you started, and then finally, like, why are boys in silver, why the Knights of Titan?
So yeah, I jumped on the 40K because some mates were wrangling me, trying to get me involved in it back between sixth and seventh, and I was like umming and ahhing at the time. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if I want to get involved with this now or not. And then they twisted my arm, and I actually started off with Necrons for my first army between sixth and seventh, and then a little bit in from there. I think in the seventh edition, I decided I wanted something that was a bit more of an elite army, and as much as this is a very hot topic, I really like the baby carriers,
Haha, thank you. I do too.
and I was like, yeah, that's it. I've got to start on the Grey Knights there, and yeah, had been
Beautiful.
playing with them since. So.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the baby gear too. I know it's just an armored Bjorn, but man, it's an awesome model.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and yeah, I know it's not for everyone, but definitely is for me. So
And they're so good now. See, I told you the black and white one would show up. Anyway, so is that? I mean, so how long does that make you now? So sixth and seventh puts you into what? 9 years? 10 years playing?
yeah, I think it's about right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
that's nice, man.
So yeah, played a heap of seventh edition. Probably took a little bit of a break in eighth, so didn't play a huge amount. And then yeah, been now in ninth, trying to get back on the bandwagon and get right into it. So
Nice. Yeah, I just started playing pretty much right as ninth hit, so ninth is all I know.
yeah, well, it's interesting how it evolves over the time and things change big, and yeah, but it's definitely, I think it's a really great addition, and yeah, really enjoying it so far. So
Awesome. So how about that North and South GT? Is where did that take place?
so it takes place in Hobart, Tasmania, which is just the capital of Tasmania down south, and we have a lot of people that come from up north and south to come play to get our numbers. But yeah, we had a really good turnout and had I think there's 37 in there or 38, one of the two, and yeah, it was a really good event. So
How many tournaments does this make for you now then?
for ninth, it's my second tournament.
Okay. And so you've been doing the tournament scene for a while now then?
Only for like in Tassie and that. I don't go over
Sure.
to the mainland Australia, and maybe it's something I will do in the future. But yeah, have a young family as well, so
Yeah.
getting the time away to do that is limited. So trying to hit up as much of the tournaments I can down here. So pretty much try and go to all of them now, and yeah, we
Gotcha.
like we've been the tournament scene down here has been changing a lot because of got a few guys that have been pushing 40K a lot and have built the community down here to a lot bigger size, and that's how we've been getting these nice
That's
30, 40 people events now. So we even had some guys coming down from Melbourne to come and play, but because of COVID, they couldn't
yeah.
make it. So
Yeah, you guys are in some pretty serious lockdown still, huh?
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky in Tassie because we've been on an island, pretty much a big
Yeah.
island. So out of anyone, we got the best to try and stay away from COVID as much as possible. We've only had like I think a 6 week lockdown
Oh
so
wow.
far, so we're a lot better than our mainland counterparts. So
Yeah, we're in and out of various restrictions here, but the group I play with mostly we're all vaccinated, so we just hang out in my garage and do beer hammer. um,
that's the best.
exactly. So let's jump into your list then. I'm gonna switch over to it here. So you took looks like a battalion and a patrol,
Yep.
which we're seeing a lot of now. Um, in your battalion, that's the Rapier's Brotherhood, so lots of those like adding melee abilities, exploding sixes to hit and all that good jazz. You have two Grandmaster Dread Knights, one in each de- uh, detachment, which I love. Drago, of course. Then you have the chaplain with words of power. The patrol is prescient brethren, which I see you have the divination warlord trait to regen those sweet command points. You've got one, two, three, four total strike squads. Three of them have warding staves in them. I assume that is to use the what was it, warding? What's the
Not sure of the
command
strat,
point?
but it gives you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a. I'd have to look up the strat, but it was to give you the 5+ invuln on the strike squads, or a 4+ if you had terminators, which I wasn't running those. So it
right.
was there just to there's extra protection if I get something shot high AP or something, and I wanted to keep them there, which was important to the mission. So it was just a
Fantastic.
thing there to if required, pretty much. So
Nice. And two rhinos, which I assume you loaded full of the strike squads, shoved up the
actually put
board.
interceptors actually.
Oh wow.
So I
Okay.
have the 20 interceptors in there, so I get the nice sweet 15-inch move coming out of them to hopefully try and break into them any lines or get on some objectives. And yeah, and because I got the 25 interceptors in that list as well. And I think every game bar one I combat squatted all of them, so I had nice 5 man squads running around to wreak some
Oh
havoc.
man. Yeah, that's what I've kind of been doing with mine too, as I've been running lots of interceptors. I usually leave one 9 or 10 man brick and then combat squad everything else. But I love the addition of the warding stave on all of these troops. Have you found that that is particularly helpful for their longevity?
I can't say that I used them that much. I think I used them once or twice in the tournament, and they did help out with getting like hit with las cannons and stuff like that. Where I
Oh,
just
okay.
wanted to make sure I could, well, pretty much waste some shots from the enemy as well. So if I can get them to shoot that rather than my other juicy stuff, that was a win for me. So
Gotcha. So one Grandmaster has Vortex of Doom and Empiric Amplification. The other one has the same. Looks like you've got Servant of the Throne on one for the 3-up invul. The Great Sword, unyielding anvil for the constant aura
protective
of
secured bugger.
offset. Yeah, so good. And then the other one has the foretelling of Locust, which has also been so good. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but being able to deploy aggressively and then pull things back when you go second, or even move other things up and be more aggressive once you know that you're going first, has been just so nice. Just what an amazing 30 points. Just absolutely fantastic.
I think
uh,
I caught myself out with it a little bit though, because I didn't actually read it properly. I thought I could redeploy my characters and
oh, yeah, it's
um,
core only, but
core only, and I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. But I was like, oh yeah, if I accidentally misdeploy some of the characters or the dread knights, I'll be able to move them
Yeah,
move them back. And then I was before the tournament, I was reading it all. I'm like, oh, that's core only. That's all right. We'll make use of that. But I think a different list, I'll be able to use that a
I
lot more.
I
So.
definitely want to ask you about how you might optimize, but I mean the good news with the foretelling is that we got the opposite of the Necron treatment. So like the only thing in our book that isn't core are our characters, servitors, and our vehicles that aren't dread knights. So it's actually not much of the codex that isn't core. So you can redeploy 95% of your army, which is pretty legit. I think the only things you can't on your list would be the rhinos and the characters, and that's it. So pretty small
Pretty
amount,
much, yeah.
yeah, which is great. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is kind of the neat thing about the new Grey Knights Codex. Is like, you know, you're really leaning in hard on those strikes. You're leaning on hard of those interceptors. That's probably the best glow up in the whole book. Like they are just the interceptors are fantastic now. Did you find that the rapiers is definitely where you want to run them?
Yeah, I think definitely rapiers is where I want to run them in the future. I do want to try and dabble in the blades of victory.
I was just gonna ask that very next or that exact question. So
So yeah, the blade of victory, so I can get the reroll charges, and even playing with the tide of escalation as well, and being able to get that power off on multiple units. Because I did run into some 9-inch charges that I failed quite a lot in some of the matchups, and it's always a risky move to do, but it would be nice to try and make that a bit more guaranteed. So
the Blades of Victory Warlord trait might help you too with your it's Blades of a Victory core unit. Never mind. I was gonna say it might have been neat to do that pre-deployment move for your Rhino, but the Rhino's not core, so never mind. But that
yeah,
would
well,
be
I think
neat.
in going forward, I'm actually going to cut the rhinos anyway. I don't think they're required, and I think it's better points spent elsewhere. So
Gotcha.
being
Yeah.
able to deep strike everything and being all 5-man squads, and then I think it's better to look elsewhere personally. But
Cool. I mean, if you got rid of the 160 points of rhinos there, you could easily max out that third interceptor squad.
yeah, well, I have worked out a list that I'm playing a mate tomorrow night actually, and yeah, it's a lot of changes compared to this list, and trying to
Cool.
go a bit more balanced with more shooting and still having the combat elements there as well. So
Nice. Are you still gonna bring the warding stave in it in every squad?
yeah, so I'm bringing the warding stave in every squad still. I'm going down to only 15 interceptors, so 3 5-man squads. I know,
No. No.
I know.
What are you doing? Are you bringing lots of dread knights then?
I am, yes.
Nice. Okay.
So
I
the
forgive you.
rapiers and then oppressive brethren detachment still, but I'll have the Grand Master, 2 normal dread knights, and then 2 purgation squads as well
Ooh.
in that detachment, and then I've got the rapiers, which will have the 3 um, strike squads, a Grand Master in there as well, and Drago, and yeah, the 15 interceptors. So I'm dropping the Chappie, the Rhinos, and 1 strike squad, and the interceptors down to 15.
So the purgation squads are you thinking about running psi cannons in them? Is that one of the things that you notice is your anti-tank was kind of lacking? You basically just
Yeah,
had the grandmasters and then melee and that's it.
yeah, I think I do want some more anti-tank in there, and just some different threats and that to throw out on the board. And um, I feel like because you've got the strat to get the +1 to hit coming from teleport strike,
Yeah.
so being able to put one in reserve and teleport them in where you want to put some pressure on, but then also using Drago to apply his rerolls to the second unit and then gating them to where you want to basically negate that 4+ the
Yeah.
hit because you moved and fired. So being able to re-roll that will make a big difference. And
That's a
yeah, just want to bump up the anti-tank and see how it goes. It may not work out, but hopefully it will.
no. Those are all great points. I loved my purgation squads when I was in 8th. Like, they were the backbone of my army. I always had at least 3. Usually silencers though, because with all the other support that we had in 8th, you could bring them up to a pretty decent strength, and you just mow through infantry. And with gosh, what was the stratagem that we lost? The one that let the whole army reroll wounds against one monster or vehicle. Forget what it was called.
It wasn't bring them down. No, it was.
It was bring down the beast. Yeah, that was an awesome stratagem. Yeah. So here's I was actually listening to a podcast, the Normal Blokes podcast, when the Grey Knights Codex hit, and they had an interesting thing about a purgation squad. Is even if you just bring them with stormbolters and not anything heavy duty, with the astral aim power letting you ignore cover now, and then the 2 CP pure purgation squad strat, sanctified kill zone, adds 1 to their wound roll. So you could like drop a 10-man purgation squad in, ignoring cover, +1 to hit, like you said, and then +1 to wound. So you could actually lay down 40 shots at an absurd value. The problem there is you're spending 3 CP on a purgation squad, and that might not be totally efficient, but that really makes Stormbolters like just frightening. That's a lot of shots, that's a lot of wounds, and then if you want to go really ham, you could even, spend 1 CP for Cybolt ammunition. So
yeah,
everything's
I'd
at 1
definitely be
AP. Yeah, like, so you got 1 AP, 6 is automatically wound. You could like hurt some pretty gnarly stuff, but you got to spend 4 CP and bring in a 10-man purgation squad. It's something I want to play with.
Yeah, well, I think I'd do it a little bit differently. I wouldn't use the CP to do the +1 to hit. I would actually probably put them in range of Drago, apply his rerolls to them, then gate them into where you want them to go. So you're still hitting on 3s, but then you're re-rolling all that. And then if it's a high value target or high toughness target, I'd just re-roll all the hits to try and fish for more 6s and
Fantastic.
push a lot of wounds. That's why I'd probably play that, just because we are super CP starved.
Yeah.
And I found
agree.
that big time. I'd burn through my CP really, really quick. So
your latest list, you're gonna drop the rhinos, you're gonna drop some interceptors, you're gonna take more dread knights, you're gonna keep the rapiers though, yeah? You don't want sword bearers?
I'm going to try sword bearers, but I want prescient brethren at the moment because I want the sweet reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound, that stratagem.
Yep. That's
and I also
efficiency for sure.
I want the divination warlord trait because I really want to regen some CP, and that actually played off big time in some games. I got some lucky ones and got a CP back every turn, so I was getting back.
Woo!
When you get the one you get back from starting your turn, and then that power as well. So I was lucky.
That's amazing, man. I don't think I've ever had that kind of efficiency ever. I mean, even when it was in Imperial Imperium domination, and you could just take it. I don't think I ever got one back every single turn, but yeah, I've been playing with Prescient Brethren too, just because, like you said, our strats are good. You want to use them all the time, and then you need to always have, the normal ones. You need two for interrupts and things of that nature. So
Yeah, well, and it's great because you can use that strat on the Grandmaster as well. So you're hitting on twos,
yeah,
rerolling ones, wounding on normally threes or twos, and rerolling ones. It's pretty sweet to get
yeah.
some damage in.
It does say Prescient Brethren core or character. So yeah,
Does,
that's
yes.
very good. Fantastic. Well, shoot. Let's jump into your matches then. So, I'm pulling up Best Coast pairing here. I can't tell. Looks like round
I've,
one. Oh,
so I've got them all listed here as
okay,
well. So
great. Yeah, it's like making me log in and being a real jerk. But it looks like you played you played against Necrons first.
yeah, Necrons first. It was against a Murphet list, and it was 40 warriors, 20 Lich Guard,
Ooh.
three Doomsday Arcs, and then some scattering of some characters in there as well. So, and the mission was one a hold two, hold three, hold more one, and it's funny. This whole tournament, I think I got first turn once as well. So I was pretty unlucky with my first turn rolls, and so yeah, I got second turn on this one and managed to hide most of my stuff, fall behind in terrain, and didn't take much. Our first turns, each of them were pretty aim. It wasn't until the second turns that it really changed it. But on my second turn, I was able to take out all 20 Lich Guard between psychic, shooting, and combat from the Grandmaster, and then get one of the warrior squads down to only like one or two, which was a bit of a shame because then he could reanimate. But
Yeah, the orb.
I was having a lot of trouble though trying to keep down primaries. Like he just had a lot of board control, and I couldn't really ever regain that back, and it kind of ran away from me there. But I also had some of those 9-inch charges. I failed to get into some warrior bricks to um, do some sweet damage because I had a nice setup of the strike squads with the falchions with the +1 attack,
Yeah.
hammerhand up, ready to get in. I think I failed. Yeah, the 8-inch charge re-rolled, so that was a bit of a shame. I was hoping I could get in and do a lot of damage to that unit and pull them back, but yeah, it was a really tough battle, and I reckon I could have pulled out a win at the end, but yeah, it just couldn't get that board control to get the primaries down, and I guess the Doomsday Arc as well can sometimes be a hit or a miss, and I think he got one on my Dread Knights early on,
Oof. Yeah, that's
and
lucky.
the Rhinos both got popped early on as well, and then I guess trying to get those down and get rid of the Warriors and the Lich Guard. It was more focused on the Lich Guard and the Warriors first to try and get rid of his scoring units, but just couldn't get rid of enough. And had some good moves at the back, or I had some gated guys in, and again failed a couple more 9-inch charges. I think two of them this time, which would
Man,
have taken away primary. And
man, I
yeah,
feel
it was.
you.
I
Um,
guess that's part of the game, though. Hey, if
yeah,
you
it
put in
is
the
a dice
whiskey for the
game.
9-inch charges.
Yeah, it is a dice game. So sometimes, like at a game, I played two games against my Iron Warriors buddy, and in game two, I set up a beautiful charge in Tide of Celerity. I had a CP to reroll. I had everything set up 9 inches. I knew I was kind of doing a Hail Mary play. I go into his Disco Lord, and I failed both charges, even in the Tide of charging. It just, one of those dice has to be a 6 to get a 9,
I know.
right? So it's like, even then, like, what's the math on that? I saw like a 9-inch charge at a deep strike and tide of celerity with a reroll is like an 84% chance to get in. I rolled,
Yeah, I think it's like
I didn't get
I think
it.
it's 57 for the before the reroll, and yeah, that's 80 something after the reroll.
Yeah.
So,
So it's
but
like, those were betting odds, and I bet, and I lost. So I
it's
feel
just
you.
the dice sometimes just don't play with you, and just the way the cookie crumbles. So,
Yeah. So what was that
but
score? Oh,
so
I
the score in the end,
I can
let's have
bring it up on
50,
Best Coast too. Oh, okay.
57 to 71.
Okay, so not like a runaway game. It's not like you just got slapped the whole game, right?
Oh no, no, definitely not. It was a really close game, and if I could have got some more primaries than that and made some of those charges, I reckon I could have pulled out the win for that one. But yeah, that's just the way it works. So
What
I
are
was
the
happy with the game, and yeah, it was really, really, really good and close.
what were your secondaries?
So data intercept,
Is that
rod.
the mission specific one?
Yeah, that's the mission specific one for that one. Retrieve Octarius data and engage on all fronts. Um, and then my opponent took Purge the Vermin, which is a pretty auto take for
Yeah,
the
it's real
Necrons.
real good for them.
Raise the Banners, again, pretty
Hmm.
standard for them. And then he had data intercept as well. And I think if I'll go to the end. So in the end, I got 10 on data intercept, so pretty good.
Uh-huh.
8 on rod, which I would have been nice to get the 12.
Yeah.
But I got 14 on engage and all fronts. But yeah, the real thing was the primary.
Um, can you tell me the name of that mission? I've got the GT
Yeah.
book up here. I want to see what data intercept is. I'm curious.
Vital intelligence, that one is.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. This is the kind of thing that I just haven't. I gotta up my game on knowing what all of the missions are. So one unit from your army can start to perform this action if it's within range of an objective marker and no enemy units are within range of it. It is completed at the end of your next command phase, and you score a number of victory points equal to the number of objective markers that you currently control. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the one where like you basically keep your own unit on your backfield, your home objective. You do this action every or every movement phase, um, and then you just get like 3 to 4 points every turn, basically.
So
Because
yeah,
it's yeah,
getting getting points based on how many objectives you're holding at the time. So
yeah,
at the start of your next command phase.
at the
So
yeah,
it's a pretty auto take for one of the mission ones, really. So,
yeah. You just have to be able to live,
yes,
right?
definitely.
Because they know that you've got it, so they're gonna want to clear you off of them anyway. That's pretty cool. Have you tried cleansing ritual or teleport attack
So
or whatever it's called? Teleport
I
something.
I didn't try actually the whole tournament to use those. It's something I'm going to experiment with on match on Saturday night. Actually, is probably either use teleport strike or purifying ritual.
Yeah.
Um,
I've only played 4 games with the new codex, but purifying ritual has gotten me 9 to 12 or 9 to 14 every single game. It's so good, at least in my novice opinion.
yeah, I think it can be a bit of a hit and miss. I think depending if you can roll the 5 ups to get it
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
but also then having multiple units to be able to do it on the same objective as a fallback, just in case you do fail them. It was pretty key, I think, which is good for me anyway because I have a lot of MSU. So
yeah.
I think it's definitely something that I'll play into in the future, and I want to look at doing for the last as well. So my new list I'm setting up so my 2 last targets are like the Grandmasters and the and Drago, I think. So
What able to let me score so well on that is that it's one of the only secondaries in the game where you have to perform an action that doesn't, or that you can do even if you don't control it or there are enemies in the area. You just have to be on an objective. You don't have to hold it. So you can move up, toe in, cast on your psychic, and potentially you could turn 4 points into 6 if you really want to push on it, right? That's what has seemed so good about it to me, is that you can do it anywhere, and with our interceptors being so fast, unless they are physically holding the entire 3 inches around it, you can like toe in and grab it, right? It's pretty good. I've been
Yeah,
a
well,
huge fan.
I definitely want to, give it a crack, and for that exact reason that I can like push 1 or 2 turns to try and push for sixes in those, and then later on you only have to do it on 1 or 2 objectives for the
Yeah.
rest of the game. So
I mean, you obviously, and I love this kind of play, but if you're gonna do that, you're giving up your psychic power, so you have to weigh the pros and the cons, right? Like, um, am I gonna go super hard on this at the beginning of the game, or do I wait till mid game or even late game to try to score those, like, 12 points or whatever you can get, and then yeah, you gotta really think too, because you still have to roll fives, right? Like, if you take banners just go up. You don't have to roll; it just happens, right? So there's pros and cons there for sure.
yeah, well, it's trying to actually balance those secondaries that you do actions on as
Hundred
well.
percent.
Like, because it'd be nice to actually take banners and purifying ritual as well.
I mean,
But I
you.
guess that's a bit risky because you run out of units then to do the stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I guess you could, like, if you put in some servitors or something, you could have them raise the banners, and they're not that expensive. Uh, I don't know. It
Yeah,
seems like, I don't know. Seems risky to me, but what do I know?
yeah. Well, I got caught. I was like picking secondaries in some of these missions, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll take this one and this one, and I'm like, oh no, that's 2 action secondaries. I don't want to risk
Yeah.
that. So
Um. Cool. So your Necrons game was pretty close. Round two, it looks like you played Iron Hands. They had a Dreadnought Ball list, it looks like. Oh, and a Gladiator Reaper. Woo! Love that. I love that tank.
yeah, it was that. This was one of the matchups. I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to go about this
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of all the armor. And again, I got second turn, so which was not not good for me. I wanted first turn to be able to get in and take some of those out. I reckon I could have got probably uh, at least 2 of them taken out in 1 turn. I reckon, with all the different combos that I had planned, and
Oh man.
that's not what happened. And my side of the board, I didn't have a lot of room to hide all my stuff. So um, turn one, I lost a dreadnought
Oh no.
and my 2 rhinos, and then I think I lost a 5-man interceptor squad as well, and another one got taken down to 2, and then I failed my morale test,
Oh no.
and I rolled that lovely one on an attrition test, so that was another
Oh
squad
no.
score.
All on turn one.
And yeah,
Oh man.
and I had to pop my teleport as well on the other dreadnought because they put down the drop pod turn one,
Hmm.
and tried to shoot some melter at him, and I managed to get him hidden around the corner where they couldn't shoot at him, and that's they shot at the rhino instead, and popped that, and
Yeah. So just for anybody listening in, they had uh, an Invictor war suit and 2 Cursor squads, so they could forward deploy those outside of their deployment. grab those midfield objectives early. 2 tech marines to to heal and awaken the machine spirits on. They had a Leviathan, a Redemptor, and then 2 Relic Contemptors. The Relic Contemptors did not have Volkite, which is pretty standard. You see that a lot now. They had twin las cannons. Then they had a multi-melta Devastator squad and a drop pod. So that is a lot of anti-tank. And then finally they had a Gladiator Reaper, which is the Gladiator tank with just a ton of shots. I think it's their Tempest bolters put out like 18 in half range, and then that Gatling gun on top is another 24. It's a ton of shots. It's absurd.
Yeah, I felt a lot of those shots on the other side of it. So
yeah. So you were going first, not screening out that, or with us being a lower model count army. We got to screen out those drop pods, give them units they don't want to shoot at. But then also, if the terrain isn't good, that's like nearly impossible. You would have had to deep strike like half the army.
Yeah, and that's what I probably should have done, was actually put a lot more stuff in reserve. I already did have 3 units in reserve, but I think I would have put one of the Dreadnoughts in reserve and just played it more safe.
Yeah.
But that's not how it played out, so that's all right.
So
turn 1.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
So turn 1, I lost all that, and then tried to get down a couple of Dreadnoughts in my turn, and didn't get a lot of damage off to them, and I don't think I actually got one of them down. His Leviathan, I got down to like 3 wounds though, I think. But I did actually completely forget about the Devastator squad.
Oh no!
After I'd shot the other stuff, and I'm like, I was actually meant to be shooting that Dreadnought at that squad. That's okay.
No.
I can protect the Dreadnought. I will charge into the drop pod, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, that is okay. So that is a pro play. That is fantastic. So in one of my earlier Death Watch interviews, I was talking to, I believe it was Jason Snagowski. He had just come off like a pretty good showing at a major over here, and I asked him, like, why not drop pods? And he said because the primary reason he doesn't like them is you drop them and then you effectively give your opponent an invulnerability to shooting because they can just charge the drop pod. And now they're in melee, so they're no longer able to be targeted. And I thought that was a great point, and you just proved like how good that can be.
It could be good, yes.
Yeah.
I'll say could. I failed the charge.
Oh no!
So poor little Dreadnoughts out in the open. I'm like, oh well, this is not ideal. I didn't get the Dreadnought down, and I didn't get rid of the guys that I really need to anyway. So
okay.
Yeah.
So lots of lessons learned in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely. It was not I think I was pretty flustered from losing all the stuff I did on turn 1, and kind of just got focused down, and then went, I actually missed this key unit that's just sitting here in the corner.
Oh no.
I did try and shoot it with some other stuff, and I think I got a couple of them down, so I wasn't taking the full brunt. But the weight of the shots in the next turn, he got all that. He took that second Dreadnought out. He managed to get an angle on Drago as well, which I was not happy about, and took him down to 1 wound.
Drago, man, Drago like never. He's just like always so obnoxious to the enemy. I love it.
Yeah, I was happy. I'm like, I couldn't remember if he had 6 or 7 wounds, and I lost 6 wounds. I'm like, I need to check this out. I'm pretty sure he's got 7, but and luckily he did, so he survived.
Every
Uh,
time I tell somebody how many wounds that beefy boy has, they're always like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, 7 wounds right here in the codex, no joke. Dude is like thick."
he is. He's 180 points though as well, so
Yeah,
he's got to be bringing some good stuff.
he's less expensive
Uh,
than he used to be.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But we used to get rerolls for everything though, not
yeah,
just for
it's
one
true,
unit. So,
but only in a
but
bubble. So no,
yeah,
like you weren't able to like give a unit rerolls and then move them up the board. They had to stay near him. But yes, he did used to grant all uh, reroll all to everybody. But I don't mind that we're in line with other Space Marines now. I think it's still very very good.
it was going to happen anyway. It was there was no way we
Oh
were
yeah,
keeping that. So, which again,
yeah,
it is in line with all the other chapter masters and things like that. So,
100% agree.
yes. So yeah, got my into the turn two. I lost my other Dread Knight. Um, he had his Invictus Warsuit up in my face as well into one of the either interceptors or strike squads, and I was getting close to taking that out, and that didn't die. So he was in my line, and then those eliminators were up there as well. I managed to get rid of his other forward deploying unit, and um, yeah, then my reserves came in for turn two. Uh, for turn two, I got managed to get in behind and start clearing out some of the stuff. Start bringing down some of the dreadnoughts, and got another one of them down. My poor mate Drago though, I had the Leviathan. Yeah, it was on like 3 wounds or something. Drago charged in, made it, and he did 0 wounds.
Oh no, really? Gosh,
Actually, sorry,
it's
I think he
such a
did wounds, but then he saved every single one of them. And I was
oh
like,
wow.
and then Drago died.
At -4?
Yeah.
I know that whole so Iron Hand shtick. If I and correct me if I'm wrong. The whole army has a 6-up invul and a 6-up feel no pain. Is
Yeah,
that
I
their
can't
thing?
actually remember, but I know he fluffed it. And I know they got the 6-up feel no pain. I'm just not sure about the
Okay,
invul. But I
gotcha.
think the Leviathans might have a 5-up invul standard. But
Yeah, yeah. I think
uh,
the relics contemptors have a 5-up as well.
yes.
Man, I am really showing my ass now. I can't remember. Here, I'll actually look it up just because now I'm super curious.
Yeah, so poor Drago,
Uh,
I think he failed some wounds and
yes.
failed some hits. And then, yeah, he got his invuls and the Dreadnought survived and Drago did not, which was
Nice.
a
Nice.
shame. So, and then turn three, he cleaned up a lot of my stuff. Uh, and then I got some more of his Dreadnoughts in the back line turn four, but pretty much by turn five, I didn't have a lot left and got, I think, it was a hold two, hold more, hold two, hold three, hold more,
Oh,
and I
so
yeah,
rough.
pretty much I got no primary. I don't think that turn and that game, and yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
a lesson, a game to learn from.
Yeah. No, I actually love analyzing these games after I play them and lose because like you just get walloped and like rolls go bad and maybe it's an army you're not familiar with and then you make a simple mistake like if you let a devastator squad run around they will make your life a living hell. So like I applaud you for like I would have probably been on tilt, not saying that you weren't, but like I probably would have been frustrated at myself, and then, but you played it out all the way. Turn 5, huh? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I tried to get as many points as I could. I was like, well, I know I'm not going to win, but
Yeah,
I will play out what I can and see what I can score, which wasn't a lot, but just needed to learn from it. Pretty much, it's all. That's how we get better at the game. You
absolutely.
get better from the losses than more from your wins. So
Yeah, 100%. And then it's
I know
not
I did
like
pop.
oh, go ahead, sir.
I did pop the 3+ invuln on the Dreadnought, uh, and yeah, that didn't go so hot.
Oh no.
Couldn't roll 3+s for that turn, so
Yep.
that's how I lost that guy turn one. So,
Oh no.
but again, my fault for not being in another millimeter or so. I needed to be completely out of line of sight from him. But yeah, again, lessons learned.
Very, yeah. Lessons learned. That's a key takeaway is try to remember that you're still learning, you're still getting better even if you're losing. I know it's hard
Yeah,
to it's hard to see that. I know I like I said, you know, you're playing a 2 or 3 hour game with friends. Like, of course, you want to win, right? It's not like a match of Counter Strike where it's 4 minutes long and then you just jump out like right back in, right?
yeah. I guess even Counter Strike, you can get frustrated at the end if you keep losing. But then I guess 5 minutes later, you're like over it. So
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway,
um,
so no spoilers here, but after you're running with the Iron Hands, you clean sweep and win every match. So just for
yes,
anybody listening, like it's he starts to whoop ass.
yeah. It was like because I like I hadn't played any of the games in this codex or anything, or didn't actually get any practice games in either
Oh
because
wow,
I
okay.
just real life got in the way, so I
Yeah.
couldn't
Well, you got a new
couldn't
kid,
do
right?
it. Yeah, new kid, and originally I was going to take Necrons because the Codex wasn't going to be out in time, and then the Codex did come out in time, and then I needed to get 50 models battle ready.
Yeah.
So I was busy painting and basing and getting that all ready, so I didn't have time to do that with the new kid because I got yeah
Yeah.
5 month old and a 7 year old. So yeah, my time's pretty limited sometimes. So, but yeah,
Well,
I was hoping
congratulations,
originally to
sir.
go. Thanks. Um, I was hoping to go. Yeah, 4-1 was what I was aiming for that comp, and I was going to be happy with that. But yeah, got 3-1, which 3-2. So
Yeah.
can't complain at the end. I guess, like you said, I pulled out three good wins at the end as well. So.
Anything else you want to point out about game two? Maybe your secondaries or
Yeah, I was going to bring up the secondary story. So I had retrieve Octarius data again,
Mhm.
engage it on fronts, and I took bring it down because
Yeah.
of all
Yep.
the
All the
armor.
vehicles. Yep. Makes sense.
I'll just go through what I got at the end for it. So I got 8 on rod, so I did get to do 3 table quarters. I only got 5 on engage on all fronts because obviously I couldn't get board presence. And he did
Oof.
do a good job of screening me out for a couple of the rounds as well, so couldn't get in there and get to his weak little marine units that would have just got eaten up. But
Yeah.
and then yeah, I think only like 3 or 4 on bring it down. So
Are you were you going ham with smites or
I was, but I
yeah.
couldn't. A lot of the time, I didn't get close enough to be able to do that. I got shot off before I could
Ooh.
have done. And like rethinking about the match and things like that, like I said, I would have probably put more stuff in deep strike reserves. And my idea going into it was that I would get up close enough, like I would be aggressive to be able to get up and try and charge the dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
But also, I'd position everything so I could smite one, get that down to maybe so I'd smite and I'd vortex of doom it.
Hmm.
So potentially
Love it.
you'd get probably five wounds off hopefully there. So you're talking like 3 or 4 left for a dreadnought there, which you could chip off pretty quickly. But then apply your empiric domination amplification, sorry, onto another dreadnought. Shoot all your psi cannons and stuff from the dreadnoughts and the silencers, and then hopefully bring down a second. And then if you could pull off a charge, you could bring down a third quite easily. So that was my original thinking, and but didn't get round to putting that into practice.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of firepower. That's a lot of armor, and that's not a meta that we see, at least not here in the U.S. I've seen some Iron Hands lists start to get some more play, um, but
Yeah, I was listening to the Art of War guys down under, and they were talking about the dreadnought lists are coming back pretty heavy at the moment because it is a good counter to some of the meta at the moment
oh yeah,
around. So just because of their survivable, and they can pop transports and have the volume of attacks to take out some witches and these admech little Scutari and things like that. So
yeah, that's how like my other army that I play is Death Watch, and that's how Death Watch is staying up there. Is they have a relic to give everything that's core in a bubble a 5-up invul, so you stick that on like a tech marine, and then you have a 5 to 6 dread knight blob, and you just march it up the board, and it shoots everything. It blows up raiders. Like, yeah, it's crazy, but that's the way you gotta. I mean, like Admech and Drukhari are still the boogeymen, so you
yeah,
gotta do something to like keep them down, right?
yeah, definitely. It's funny because the game on Saturday night I come in having going to play is against Death Watch as
Oh,
well, actually. So
yeah. Well,
one of my good mates. So we'll see how that goes. So
no matter who wins that one, I win. So, uh, but yeah, let me know what he brings because it's probably. I mean, it's probably a dreadnought blob.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple of Redemptors
Yeah.
and some other Dreadnoughts scattered in there. I think he's got. I think he'll probably actually bring some standard Dreadnoughts.
Okay.
I know he's taking a Tech Marine. I think he's using a lot of the models that he has. So
Gotcha. Yeah,
this
makes
probably won't be
sense.
the most optimized list, but yeah, that's why I'm going to play around with some of the secondaries and see what I can pull out with this new list.
Very cool. So round 3, you went up against Death Guard.
Yes.
Nice. Got
So
to fight some demons. Were
I
there
did actually.
some demon engines in there? Of course there were.
Well,
So yeah.
one of my secondaries was Destroy the Demon actually. So
Ooh.
I could old use the new Grey Knights one for that one, and
Yeah. And he brought Morty. So yeah, we have a new secondary for killing demons. Monsters and vehicles are
Destroy the
worth
Demon.
3 points. A demon Primarch is worth 5, and a demon unit is worth 1, if I remember right. Let me actually pull it up because I got this all ready to rock here. Secondary is purge the enemy. Yes, demon Primarch is 5, a demon monster is 3, a demon vehicle is 3, and then any other demon unit is 1. So yeah, you can get some points on that for sure.
Yeah, well, because he had two drones, plague
Hmm.
drones, and
So
they
that's 6.
bloke drones. Sorry, yeah. So they
Yeah.
had demon engines, and then he had the plague burst crawler, one of those,
Mm.
and then he had Morty. So and going into this, I hadn't actually gone up against Morty in any other tournaments that I've been to as well. So that was the first
Yeah.
time going up against Death Guard with Morty list, and I was like, oh yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, man,
We'll see what.
he's no joke for sure. But so with all of that, you could are Poxwalkers demons?
No,
I
so
didn't think
nothing
so.
else in there was
Yeah.
demons.
But that's still
But
14 points if you kill all that. That's a lot.
yes, yeah. That's why I'm like, I think I can do this. This is the secondary for me.
For sure.
So the mission was sweep and clear. So it's the mission that has the one center objective, and I think there's two objectives on your side of the table, and then it's an angled deployment. Um, and then it has the sweet direct assault secondary. If you hold the middle at the end of your turn, I think it was, you get 3 victory points.
Yeah, score 3 victory points if you control either the middle or your opponents, and 5 if you have both. But
Yes.
if you're holding both, you're gonna win anyway because you've probably tabled your opponent at that point.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice. I'll go through my secondaries already, actually, because
Yeah, please.
my opponent took Spread the Sickness, which is pretty standard for Death Guard, Direct Assault, and Stranglehold.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to take Stranglehold myself.
Yeah, it's the strong one on a 6 objective game for sure. That's a great one.
Retrieve Octarius data again, which I was relying on big time for the thing, but I had lots of units and could get around the board easily, so that was good. And then I took Destroy the Demon. So I didn't win first turn again, so I went second again in this game. I was able to hide my whole army. Pretty sure it was. Yeah, maybe my Rhino was out, I think, but that was it. So I had everything hidden nice behind, protected for turn 1. He pushed forward heavily, put Morty in the center of the board, and started moving his other units up to support him. Like there was Poxwalkers that advanced, and most of his army advanced to get up onto that center objective to put heaps and heaps of pressure there. And then he had some shots from his Plague Burst Crawler, and I think that was pretty much the end of his turn 1. So he got his direct assault. My turn 1, I moved out my rhinos, one to the left, one to the right, and it then disembarked one unit and everything up onto my left-hand objective, and then I was holding the back one, and then my other unit went to the right-hand side to go put pressure there, and then my 2 dreadnoughts and some strike squads, everything went into the middle to try and clear out some of his stuff. And
try to grab that middle for the sweet 3 points.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually have that. I didn't pick that objective, so I thought it might be a little bit tricky for me to hold it all the time against Death Guard. So that's why.
But at the same
I
time,
should have done though.
Well, you knew he had it, so
yes.
If you hold the middle, then you're denying him, 8-ish points. But yeah, I know that's not. I mean, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, I was hesitant. I probably should have taken that in the end, but it didn't matter in the end anyway. So I managed to smite Morty, get Vortex of Doom off. I got Empiric Amplification on him as well.
Oh, nice.
I had Words of Power on a strike squad, all within a decent charge range as well, and then 2 Dread Knights. So opened up onto Morty, managed to take him out completely in turn 1.
Fantastic. How did your opponent respond to that?
I think he was a little bit shocked. He didn't think there was that much damage coming out to him, and I think I overkilled him by about 6 wounds.
Oh man!
Power and the mortal wound output from there. So I got Vortex of Doom. I think 1 or 2 smites off to him.
That must have felt good.
It did. I was like, oh, that's some weight off my shoulders there, and
yeah, man, he's like 490 points or something. So
yes,
big part of their army, yeah. And all those buffs and warlord traits and everything that he had. So did you wipe him out in shooting alone, or did you have to charge him?
I had to use every single phase, so I had to charge him with a strike squad. Knew that I wouldn't have rerolls.
Yeah,
but I did.
That was
I did have
my
Words
next
of Power up. And I was in the tighter convergence, So
Hell yeah.
lots and lots of mortals there, even though I couldn't re-roll those wounds, but got enough to take him out by
Yeah.
I think 4 or 5 mortals in the end. So it was taken out fairly comfortably. But I think he did fail a lot of his feel no pains as well, which helped me a lot. So
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
managed.
one bonus for us is like if you know Morty's turning off your rerolls, you don't cast Hammerhand. You can just smite him again. It's
Correct,
kind
yeah.
of
Uh,
yeah. It's
I
great.
definitely was happy I got rid of him my turn one, and yeah, then turn two. The Death Guard player moved all his Plague Marines up to do the center board, so like a 10-man squad, and then another couple of 5-mans coming up on the left hand side, and his Pox Walkers were there. So he was back in the middle. I got his direct assault and did his spread the sickness. But then my turn two, I was able to push harder again into the center, clear out his 10-man of Plague Marines, and I think got rid of another 5-man. So he only had a 5-man left. He still had his Death Shrouds in to come down, yeah. And then I think he got rid of some of my interceptor squads and um, a couple of other strike squads from the center. Uh, and then he pushed up a little bit too far as well. So he led some gaps in for my turn three for me to get some deep strike units up the back. And I put my Dreadnought up there because he targeted, which I told him about all the abilities about the teleport, that if you target me, I can teleport away and that. And he targeted the Death Shrouds against it. And yeah, I was managed to teleport the Dreadnought from my side of the board to behind to his objective is his home,
Did
and
Death Shroud shoot him with pistols or something?
they've got all flamers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they got the Bale. Well, not Bale flamers, but okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that was my turn three. So at the end, I had the Dreadnought at the back there to take out his Poxwalkers and then try and get into his Plague Burst Crawler, which didn't go so well, but I got rid of most of the Poxwalkers, which was a shame because it would have taken him off that objective. And then it went to
APCs,
his turn.
man. Plague
I know.
Burst crawlers are so tough. That like
Yeah.
toughness 8 is just brutal.
And then the next turn, he got into my Dreadnought with his Lord of Contagion, I think it is, and managed to take a few wounds off. But then I managed to get another few units up behind his lines again from my Deep Strike, and then from Gate of Infinity, and managed to take out all the Pox Walkers, the Lord of Contagion, and into his Plague Burst Crawler to destroy that as well. At the end of that, I think turn four, he had probably a couple of characters left and maybe one Plague Marine strike.
Hmm. So,
So,
uh, I mean, that sounds like you were solidly in control of that game, especially after you dropped Morty turn one. Like,
yeah, I forgot he had also two Playground drones up with Morty as well, which I had to deal with them, which my Dreadnoughts got to deal in combat. And then another strike squad took out the other one, I think to one wound, and then I got it the next turn. But it was actually really surprising how much he actually still was able to score, even though he had very little remaining at that time. So he did manage to get like direct assault again. He got rid of my squad that I had in there, and then he had his extra spread the sickness again on that injective. And yeah, he just kept holding on, and yeah, but I finally got away at the end and pretty much close to tabled, I think. So
what was the score? I think he got 90, and then he got
I got 96 and he got 62.
96. Woo, nice. So what
Close,
didn't
nearly.
So what didn't you max out? Obviously, Rod can't get you 15,
No.
but it can get you 12.
So at the end, I got 15 on Stranglehold, so that was good. Maxed that out.
Yeah.
12 on Rod and 14 on Destroy the Demon. So
Oh yeah. Okay. That would be your 1 point right there. Is to destroy the demon. You couldn't get 15, but like,
no,
yeah, man, that's still very very solid. 90, 97, or just sorry, 96 is a good score.
yeah, definitely was a good score, and yeah, it was a really good game. I was like felt in control. I guess once I got Morty out turn one, it kind of led the way for me to take out all the other stuff. Probably the biggest thing was the empiric amplification that I got off on like his 10-man uh, 10-man squad of Plague Marine. So then the -1 to damage did nothing. So every failed save, he was losing a guy. So the Dread Knights were able to really munch them up with their 2
Yeah.
damage, now 3 damage Psy Cannons. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Empiric
probably,
amplification is a very 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 good power.
probably what I haven't discussed is about as well the other stratagems that I'd used pretty much the whole game, every turn where I could, would be I'd always pick one of my psychers, whether it be Drago to apply Sanctuary or get gates off, or on the a lot of the time it was on my Nemesis Dread Knight or the Grandmaster to roll an additional power, cast an additional power. Yeah,
So,
or actually, 3d6. Pick the dice that you want. Pick the 2 dice. So if you
oh, is it?
perils,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you can not perils pretty much if you unless you rolled
That's
3 6s. So
that's fantastic. Good to know. I
and
did not
and
realize that.
a few times it had actually come into play where I perils, and I'm like, it's all right, I can pick the 2 dice that I want. So yeah, but I use that pretty much every battle round that I could. So
Yeah, I
um,
mean, especially for 1 CP, those stratagems have value. Like, I mean, lots of value, right? Because you can cast Vortex and Empiric Amplification from one of your Grandmasters, and then you spend 1 CP to also smite. I mean, that's a lot of mortal
you can only
wounds.
they can only cast one, the Grandmasters.
Oh, right, right, yeah. So you can
So
cast both that
you
way,
could
though.
get 2 powers into that. That's what I did.
I believe it.
Our powers off now because we lost our +1 to cast because the other amazing psychers stole it from us.
Yeah.
Old Zinch stole our
Yeah,
+1 to
yeah.
cast, and
But we have +1 to deny now.
we had +1 to deny before and +1 to cast though.
Yeah, I know,
But
but we'll make do.
yeah, so I've used those stratagems a lot to counter that, pretty much to make sure I got those key powers off throughout the whole tournament. So again, that's where all my CP would go, be doing that, and then I'd have like 2 CP for an interrupt, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was
But divination was like getting you that slow trickle back, yeah?
yeah, definitely. And that's why I like the Prescient Brethren so much, is for
Me
that.
too.
That's their only way to get CP regen back, other
Yeah.
than taking an Inquisitor or something. They do have an option to get it back
Yeah,
as well as a Warlord trait, I think.
I tried that against my Iron Warriors friend. I wasn't aggressive enough with that Inquisitor, but yes, for 60 points you turn them into a Ordo Xenos Inquisitor, and then they can take the mental interrogation Warlord trait, where you can, if you're within 12 inches of an enemy's character, you roll and you get a CP. So
Yeah, well, I guess that's a little bit tricky, I guess, because yeah, that 12 inches
yeah, yeah,
puts
12
it in a
inches
lot of
is
danger.
right. Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
yeah,
sure better players can make that work. I was struggling. to make that work. So
I didn't actually realize it was a 12-inch range, so I thought it was just you get to roll it, but no.
no, it's really bad. Or it's not bad. It's just difficult to get off. Um,
Yeah,
but
I think that would yeah, you'd need a high skill cap, I think, to really get the benefit of that out of there. So,
I mean, Grey Knights is kind of a high skill cap army anyway, just because we play in every phase, and you know stuff like the closest unit is what gets smited, could really mess you up, and players, good enemies will use that against you too. So you kind of have to play around it. It's the kind of thing that makes like the interceptors like are so good. They can move through enemy models. They can move through terrain. They don't care about vertical movement. So you can get them right where you need to get that smite off. You can, jump through screens if you really need to. I mean, it's the interceptor is like not only do they have great strat support and brotherhood support, but their mobility cannot be denied. Their threat range is 24 inches. And then, even doing this move, shoot, move thing on turn one when you don't want to overextend and you just want to chip some wounds is very valuable.
yeah, that's
Oh,
certainly a bread and butter unit for
yeah.
this edition.
Yeah.
And
If you can't tell, I have a love affair with the Interceptor.
I feel like if you want to be competitive with Grey Knights anyway, you have to have a love affair with them, really. So because
Yeah.
it's our mobility, and they hit hard, and
So hard.
like you said, 24-inch threat range. For me, I was like 27-inch threat range because it was coming out of rhinos.
Yeah.
Um, it's just what's not to love?
For sure.
And they're what 24 points a model. So
Yep. 24.
our Terminators might be overcosted, but they're
Yeah.
definitely not. So,
Poor termies.
I know they'll have their day, I reckon.
I bet you they will. Yeah. I'm really wondering what we're supposed to get in that War Zone book.
Everyone's pushing that it'll be for the Honored Knight stuff, which I hope it is as well, to
Yeah.
give Paladins some extra love. And
Yeah. Paladins are very expensive too. 47 points. Can't take
and not
Brotherhood powers. Can't be buffed by like Brotherhood strats. At least not most of them.
yes, so that's definitely. Hopefully they get something, and that's what makes them great again. And I figure we'll get some points drops potentially later on in chapter approved for those in the Terminators.
Make Paladins great again.
Yeah. Well, I guess Astral Aim hurt them as well, not being able to shoot out a line of sight and hide behind things as well. So
Yeah, I mean I've talked about this before, so some of my more fervent listeners may be about to roll their eyes, but the reason we had to play KG like that is because like the Grey Knights 8th edition data sets or data sheets, just like the base codex was really bad, I hear. So in Psychic Awakening we got crazy tides and powers and strats that made them very good, but as soon as you ran out of command points, it was an uphill slog, So we had to like stay hidden, shoot out a line of sight, bring lots of heavy weapons, buff ourselves with massive rerolls. Otherwise, we couldn't keep up, except against demon armies, where we could just be like, everyone gets 3 damage smites.
Funny you mentioned demon armies at the moment, but they've still got their lovely 2 CP strat to bring back.
Yes, they do.
Any demon at the moment. I'm pretty sure that'll go once they get their codex, but I'm pretty sure that was there to balance that we could just destroy demons, and pretty much now we have better chances, but they've taken all that away, which is good anyway, because
I actually
unfair.
I am
To get
very pleased with the way that they've designed the Grey Knight so that there's still that demon destroying flavor there, but because most of the armies that you play against aren't demons, you still want to make them competitive and fun. So instead of having all that stuff baked into all the data sheets and like costing us points on the base units, now we get to decide like, okay, now there's a tide that we can switch into. We can take a warlord trait or two if we really want. There is a wisdom of the prognosticars, and then there's that sweet secondary. So like we have all the tools, but we get to pick when we use them instead of being like, no, you're good against demons all the time, but have fun fighting Space Marines, right? So I think that was a very good design choice. I
Yeah, I
like
think
that a
that
lot.
comes back to the whole trying to design armies around fluff versus actual gameplay. So, and yeah, I'm glad all that's gone now. And
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been very nice on the other side of it being a demons player against Grey Knights back then as well, just being able to be wrecked by all the extra special rules we got for them. So
Yeah, that 2 CP strat was supposed to be there, balancing against us. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but I think on YouTube somewhere there is a Art of War game, Richard Siegler versus Nick Nenavati. Nick was rolling demons, Richard was rolling Grey Knights, and I think Nick spent the 2 CP. I think that's where all of his CP went. Is he kept bringing back those big demon units, and then Richard would just kill them. It was insane. Like Nick is like, this is such a good strat, but there's no, like, I can't use my command points for anything else. I have to use them to bring back these, Lords of Contagion and whatever they were, big models, huge demons, but then they just die the next turn.
yeah, well, I watched. There was a game on YouTube. I can't remember one of the channels that I follow, but they were playing demons versus the Grey Knights Ninth Edition Codex, and they brought back the Keeper of Secrets. I think 2 or 3 times throughout the game, but
Yeah. Well,
he still managed to pull off the win with that anyway. So yeah, it was interesting to watch.
the real kicker about the way that strat is actually worded is it's per phase. So,
Yes.
so you can kill a demon in the psychic phase and they can bring it back. And then you kill a demon in the same turn, the shooting phase, and they can bring it back. And then you charge it and kill it in the fight phase and they can bring it back. So it's absurd when you think about it.
Yes,
But
it
it's,
definitely is.
but yeah.
I heard a nice little trick. I can't remember who said it, but if you can get the demon down to like 1 or 2 wounds, you can use a strat to throw out a psych out grenade at them, which causes them to perils. And
Yeah.
then you never actually killed them if they died to perils, so they can't actually use their 2 CP strat.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. The new psych out, psych out grenade strat seems pretty fun. I'm gonna have to remember to use it though if I ever get into that kind of situation. But
Yeah, I think it'd be funny to use. It'd be cool in game, but again, it's quite niche, I guess.
yeah,
It probably will come into play a lot if you're going against 1,000 Suns and stuff like that. But yeah, it'd definitely be one of those strats where you have to remember to use it and remember that you have it,
yeah.
which sometimes can be tricky when you're in the battles. So
Um, so now that tangent's over, we can go
yeah,
back to your rounds here. So round
yeah.
4, you went up against Necrons again. It looks like.
Yes, Necrons again. I'll just bring up his list.
This time it looks like it was a custom dynasty,
Yeah.
eternal conquerors and relentlessly expansionists. So that means that they have the pre-game or the pre-turn 1 move, and then they also have the army-wide offsec, right?
Yes, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. And his list this time, we had some crypto thralls, the Catacomb Command Barge with the Voltic Staff, a Chronomancer, Royal Warden with Veil of Darkness, a 20 brick of warriors, 10 brick, and another 10 brick, 6 Scorpic destroyers, Transcendent Satan,
Whew.
3 lots of 3 Scarab Swarms, and
3
3
Doomsday Arcs. Wow.
Yep.
It's a lot of Doomsday Arcs.
Yeah, well, they're pretty amazing. Oh, not a, they are really good for the Necron Codex, other than that's D6 shots, D6 damage on their weapons, which is always a fun game to see if you're going to be lucky or
Yeah.
not with those.
Yeah, that always feels bad.
It's no D3 plus 3 damage.
Nope, sure isn't. Who has that?
I know. I don't know anyone that would have something like that.
So efficient, those damn Dark Lances.
I know.
Reroll
All the
one hit.
chickens as well.
Oh yeah, the assault Dark Lances, basically. They're even better.
So, this is the one game that I actually got first turn as well. So.
Oh wow! Out of all 5 games, you only went first once?
Yes.
Oh wow.
So, and some of the games I didn't want to go first.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did want to on some of them, so, especially that Iron Hands match. That was definitely the one I wanted to go first on. So, there was a like the board was pretty train heavy on this one as well, and it was I think it was a long ways deployment for that, and it was the Tribal mission. So
okay,
I picked for secondaries this time. I took no prisoners, retrieve Octarius data, and engage on all fronts.
solid.
So pretty much a lot of the ones that I've been relying on for the whole tournament anyway. So it was what I knew. And
Stranglehold is really strong on retrieval mission too, just because those objectives are right outside of your deployment zone, like literally less than an inch outside of your deployment zone. So
I didn't take Stranglehold because I know Necrons fairly well, and they're hard to shift, and I was worried that I wouldn't actually be able to get them off of an objective to get my Stranglehold, so that's why I picked no prisoners instead.
Yeah, OBSEC Scarabs are pretty good. Who knew?
They also give up lots of no prisoner scores now too. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, you're looking what they're 4 wounds each, so you're looking at 12. You get 1.2 points per brick of 3. So just killing all 3 is nearly 4 points on no prisoners already. So
yeah, it's a solid secondary pick for sure.
Yes. They picked Purge the Vermin, which is pretty standard for Necrons. It's they get 2 points for every quarter you're not in.
Yeah, it's reverse engage, but for your enemy.
But yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
He had Raise the Banners and Abhor the Witch.
Of course.
I don't know if this. Yeah, that was the first time in the tournament that actually someone had taken it against me, which I was a little bit surprised about. But
well, Death Guard couldn't because they had a Psyker. I'm surprised Iron Hands did. They only had Tech Marines. Yeah, I'm surprised that more people, the other Necron player and the Iron Hands player didn't take it because it's so good against us. Yeah, it's so good. Like that's one of I think that's actually one of our weaknesses as an army is there is a secondary that only hurts 2 armies in the game. Really, it hurts Thousand Suns and us a lot. A lot.
Yeah, well, it's there because obviously that some armies have like 2 or 3 psychers, but they don't have a whole army of psychers.
Right. So, yeah. Exactly. So.
And hopefully, maybe they'll do something about it in the future, but maybe they won't. So we just have to play with it and assume that we are going to give up 12 to 15 on that.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Most games. and that's okay.
Yep.
We'll just have to play better.
Way the cookie crumbles. Yep.
It is. So yeah, I got the first turn for this one first. First turn, I just moved out onto the objectives. Didn't actually do much else other than that, so I got myself set up for him to start moving up. I think I might have got some just pot shots off on some warriors and that he had exposed, but then it was onto his turn one. So I had like interceptors up, getting close to the middle of the board on both sides. Some were out of line of sight, some hidden as best as possible. Had the rhinos pushed up as well, and then still some stuff in rhinos. His turn one, he pushed out the Satan aggressively, pushed up to try and get to the interceptors that I had like in the mid board there. He advanced his warriors up, moved his Doomsday Arcs to try and get into range of some of the stuff because he couldn't get line of sight without moving them, which was my original plan. To make him fire at the low power mode, so I wasn't so worried about losing anything big. And then he moved on to objectives, bought out his Scorpec destroyers as well. And he did have some stuff behind still. All the scarabs were still behind. And then, I think that was about it. He then shot at my Dread Knight that had the teleporter. I managed to teleport pretty much in front of where he was after he'd shot the one that had a line of sight to me. So I was like, I think 12 inches away from all of his stuff, but definitely in range to do some damage the next turn. He got his Satan powers off and did some trickery there, and my nice 5-up feel no pain to mortals saved pretty much most of them.
Wow. Nice.
And that was pretty much his turn. I think he might have got one of my rhinos, but that was it. Maybe a couple other guys. I think I lost to getting out of the rhino, but that was a pretty safe turn for me. My turn two, I managed to take out all of his scarab swarms, bar one I think he had hidden elsewhere, because I wanted to get rid of those early on so he couldn't come up and steal my objectives with his objectives secured.
Yep.
So I killed a brick of 20 warriors with like Vortex of Doom, Smite, and then all the guns.
Nice.
From my squad of interceptors are up there, and part of my Dread Knight as well. I managed to get a couple of wounds off his Satan already. So that was a good start. And then it was onto his neck.
The Satans can only take 3 wounds a phase, right?
Yeah, so I wanted to get him.
Yeah. So
we get him ready for next turn.
So we have a nice benefit there where we can take them down in the psychic phase pretty consistently, where other armies don't have that option. At least not so readily available.
Yes. So I wasn't actually that worried about the Satan, and I knew that if he got close enough to me, then it was going to die pretty quickly, because we have the best tools to get rid of it.
Yeah.
We can now do out of phase mortals as well for charge phase from our Dread Knights as well, the D3 mortals on a 2+. So
that's an excellent point. Yeah. Thunderous Stride, right, is the name of that strat.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going a bit ahead because I did use that against it. But
nice.
His turn 2, I think he got some wounds off my Dread Knight. Didn't roll super hot with his slot machines, his Doomsday Arcs, and it took out I think just only one squad of interceptors And then he did actually push even further up with his Titan and charged into my unit of interceptors that was up there. And I think he only managed to kill one, and then I took wounds off him there. So he was down to like 4 wounds, I think, left at the end at my turn. Um,
And then you snuffed him
so
out.
I snuffed him out next turn with my Dreadnought charging into the Thunderous Stride and then just killed him. Um,
Beautiful.
and then up the right hand side of the board, I had a 5-man interceptor squad up there and managed to get a charge off into his Gorpek destroyers and managed to get a lot of wounds off to it. And then he saved a lot with a 5-up invul that he got from the Chronomancer. And I took out
Yeah.
four out of 6, so that was pretty good. I was hoping to wipe them, but didn't. And then he reanimated one, and then proceeded to take out 3 of my guys. Luckily, I had Sanctuary on them, so I did some decent saves as well.
Very
So I ended
cool.
up with 2 squads up there and charged another squad of 10 warriors and got them down to nearly wiped them, but they got their reanimations and was a squad of 4 or 5 at the end of that turn.
Yeah.
Then it was just trading a fair bit of his warriors and then some of my units for the next few turns. Didn't ever kill one of his Doomsday Arcs at all. They were always up the backfield, and I just left them alone and just tried to stay out of line of sight as much as possible.
Huh.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
because
one of
you're
the Dreadnoughts,
so you want them to move, and that way they can't use their really good ghost or doomsday gun profile, right?
yes, yeah, you want
Yeah.
them to move as much as possible, and he had everything screened back there, so I couldn't actually get in there. I'd have to go over all his other units anyway, so I just ignored them as much as I could and just purposely put my units out of line of sight where he had to move up to shoot them. So yeah, it was low power, and then pretty much the game just kept going on like that. I took out most of his warriors, all his scarabs. He still had his Scorpec destroyers and a couple of characters, and that was the end of the match for that one. So again, I thought I was actually further in front than I was, but yeah, just pulled out the win with that, just because he could not die, pretty much do what Necrons do.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
smite helps, but yeah.
yeah, Smite helps a lot, but yeah, you only got so many powers that you can cast, and got to be, like you said, in range and place at the right thing. I guess
Absolutely.
the only thing I would have done differently, like recapping that match, would have been I would have put Empiric Amplification onto the Scorpec destroyers to get 3 damage,
And that way
and
you
then I
just
would have been at
pop them.
yeah, I would have wiped that squad, and then I would have had a lot more resources to take out that side of the board. But
Those destroyers, man, they're scary.
yeah, I forgot about the -1 to wound strat, which
Uh,
is what saved him.
mm,
So I was only winning on 4s rather than 3s. So
yeah,
uh, saved saved him a lot, and because it was interceptors, I didn't have obviously rerolls to wound.
sure.
So
Yeah,
the
interceptors
score,
can't have it all, unfortunately.
no, they can't. Strangely enough. So in the end, I got 10 on no prisoners, 12 on rod, and 13 on engage. And he managed to get 12 on purge, 8 on banners, and 14 on a
Wow.
ball.
How do you get 12 on
So
Purge when you got so much on Engage? Weren't you? So he would wipe out a unit and then you'd be back up on that side and then he'd wipe you out and then you'd be back up on that side? Like constant trading?
well, yeah, pretty much. So
Okay.
um,
Because I was going to say, like, I love that mini game play there where, like, he takes Purge. So you say, okay, I'll take Engage. Right? Like,
the thing is, I have to pretty much, because otherwise he's just going to run away with his
yeah,
secondaries,
points.
really.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
had
it's
to be up there to take those out. So
yeah, it's just goes to show you the layers to this game. That's all, right? Like because you see Necrons and you know, especially as you are a Necron player, like you know they have a really good secondary, but you also know you're a very mobile army, so you can play against his weakness and try to bring, try to take points away from him as much as you're trying to gain points for yourself, right? That's a
yeah,
that's a
definitely.
cool that's a cool interaction that's even like stated before you even really roll any dice, like before turn one, like that's already your plan.
Yeah, well, it has to be pretty much because otherwise, yeah, you're just giving Purge them and 15, and yeah, in denying those points, you're gaining yourself points. So yeah, engage was an auto pick for that one for sure.
Yeah,
So
for sure. So you got 89 versus his what?
I think 87.
Oh wow, man, that's awesome. What a great game.
Yes.
Like seriously, I love those nail biters.
Yeah, it came down to the wire, and yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
mean
just
like if you had failed some saves earlier in the game and lost one more unit, you know, that wouldn't have even been 3 points, that would have been 1 point.
yes,
That's crazy. I love that stuff.
yeah. It was yeah, definitely a awesome game. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was kind of yeah, a little bit tit for tat the whole way through, but yeah, pulled out the win on it in the end.
Very cool. And then your last game was against Drukhari.
It was, and that was the first time I played Drukhari in the ninth as well. So
Oh wow, and you got a win?
yeah, I
Nice.
was like I'd seen lots of battle reps and stuff
No.
about them and that, so I could sort of see all their nice little tricks. Um, I I don't think it was a standard list
No, I'm actually looking
for
through it right now
Drukhari.
and it doesn't look like a standard list at all. Um Cult of Strife, obviously. Um Razor Flail Succubus, some Blood Brides, Witches, Mandrakes, 2 units of Hellions, Drazar, another Succubus, more Blood Brides, Incubi, Reavers, a Court of the Archon, which I'm not even sure what that is. I don't think I've ever seen that. And Archon,
So
True
that's
Boy or Trueborn, more Incubi, and then Scourges. So yeah, like not. I mean, there are some Raiders in here, but there are
there was only three raiders,
three. Yeah,
so
three.
yeah.
Definitely a different list. This is not one that I'm used to playing. Like,
So,
go ahead.
so
What's
the Slith and that the Urgles are like give the bodyguard rule to characters,
I
so
see. Okay.
they go around with one of the Archons to protect them, so you can't target them, and pretty much is one of their while we stands as well. I think it was so. Right, I'll just bring up my. So on this one, I took grind them down, priority targets,
Oh, is that from
and
the mission?
yeah, and assassination. I took for my third. He took herd the prey to the last and priority targets. So
Oh.
pretty standard for Drukhari. I didn't go first again, so he got the first turn. I was able to hide and pretty much all my army rather than other than some rhinos, which I just left out in the open because there was no room to put them hidden. So he's got to shoot at something. So I figured that'll be a good target for the lancers anyway.
Yeah. You're
Started
baiting
in the
out.
tightest shadows.
Yeah. You're baiting out some dark lance shots, and the rhinos can pop smoke. where
Yes.
our Dread Knights cannot. So
Luckily, he was shooting through some trees anyway, so I didn't have to pop smoke to
nice.
use my CP. So I can't remember if he did kill a rhino or not. No, he didn't actually. He didn't get any of my rhinos down turn one.
Wow.
So I was lucky,
Yeah.
I guess, with that.
Dark Lances, man.
But then he obviously pushed heavily up the board and positioned himself for the next turn. Like the Hellions were up on one flank and they were in 2 units of 5. And the Mandrakes were up there and did some pot shots and just were there to be a nuisance. So didn't lose a lot turn one. My turn one, I was able to take out 1 unit of the Hellions, the Mandrakes, uh, and one of the Raiders as well. So I was pretty happy with that turn, but I was really defensive and stayed back.
That's a good call.
Because obviously I knew what they can do.
Yeah.
Then turn two happened, and he pretty much, I think he got like multiple witch squads up in my face, and got big charges off on them. He was rolling hot on the 6s to advance. So I had end of that turn, I had 2 lots of witches, 2 succubuses, everything in combat, which took out, I think, 2 squads. Took one down to like 2 models left as well. So I lost a few squads there. On
Ooh.
the other side, I had Hellions into a squad as well, which I had interceptors over there as well, protecting them.
Mm-hmm.
And lost a squad of interceptors on that side from the Hellions. And then he moved up some more Mandrakes again up into my lines. And
Man, what is the Mandrake? I'm actually gonna pull up the data sheet here. Alright. Anyway, please, go on. This is for my own curiosity, that's all.
So yeah, he took out a fair amount on that turn, and I was like on the back foot, I guess you could say. The next turn, my turn two, I managed to get into combat with all those units, and I managed to deep strike a unit up into his backfield with the Words of Power buff. It was a strike squad. It had Hammer Hand, Words of Power, and I was in tighter convergence. Didn't get my charge off, so it was out of the open. Managed to shoot something off the board. I think I got rid of one of the incubi squads. And then I killed some of the stuff down the bottom, but didn't get everything. So he still had, I think, a succubus, 2 succubuses left. And
man,
then
succubuses are just so good.
So then he got into combat again to me with the other down the bottom in my right hand corner, and he picked the wrong target. He didn't go with the first because he got charges off in the backfield as well against my strike marines. He picked one of his succubuses first up in my zone, in my deployment zone, and I think he killed a squad, but that was fine. That allowed me to use a 2 CP interrupt on the back unit, which wiped out everything that charged him. I think he charged me in with a squad of Reavers and a squad of Incubi, and I split the attacks across between those two and wiped all of them out. And he was like, that was the wrong move. So my next turn, I was actually quite happy with the result with that when I got all the stuff in his backfield. I managed to deep strike another 2 units into his backfield now because there was a hole there, and push really hard on there and block out his herd to prey. Took out the Hellions on my side. took out one of the succubuses. All the mandrakes were gone, and yeah, that was the end of my that turn. I made some charges into the backfield and got another raider down, another squad of incubi nearly killed, and started on his court as well. So I had 3 units in his backfield now for his turn 3. He tried to take them out and couldn't, so that was still there. He ran back away with his other succubus because he didn't really want what was happening down the bottom to happen to that one again, and tried to go defend the backfield. And I managed to do a fair bit of damage again to them in the return attacks, and I had a bigger hole opened up there, and I was able to get one of my dread knights back when the grandmaster's
Very
back
nice.
there for the next turn. Smited off his archon, killed the succubus, and got a fair bit off on his court of archon. And then he had Drazar come in and kill a squad on his turn.
Yeah, Drazar's a beast, and I think he can fight twice, right?
Yes, he can.
Yeah,
So
I mean, he's already very good, and then he can fight again.
yes. So he took out a unit, but then I was able to get another couple of units up into his backfield. I took out his other radar, all the contents of the radar. The other unit of incubi were down to 2. Took out his those special. Oh, what's the special unit he's got called? That the Trueborn. Sorry.
Yeah, the Trueborn. I was gonna ask earlier when you popped the Raider in turn 1, was that the Trueborn Raider?
No, it was another one that had just other
just
witches
witches
in it
or
and stuff.
something. Yeah.
The one later on I popped, we had the Trueborn in it, and I think Drazar and a couple others.
Man.
I think in Squad of Incubi. So
Yeah.
I'd had all the Raiders down. At the end of turn 3, he had left, I think, a couple of Incubi, the Sliths and the Court of the Archon, Drazar, and that was about it. And then we went into turn 4. He took out a couple of units of mine. Drazar come and took out a unit as well.
Man, it's a beast.
I actually do think he got one of my Dread Knights as well. And that was the end of the turn. And then for the turn 5, I took out his Incubi, most of his Court of the Archon, and I think I got Drazar down to 1 wound. And then for his turn, he went and hid Drazar and the Slith Court because they were his 2 while we stand targets. And then my last turn, I failed Gate on Drago, so I couldn't get close to them.
Yeah. Gate got nerfed a bit. It's now Warp Charge 7.
Yeah, I know. And then no CP to do a shunt or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't take out his to the last targets, but yeah, he only had those couple of units left, and that was the end.
And it looks like you took it with 91 on that one. That like sounds like a total. I mean, not that this is very surprising, but a complete melee bloodbath. Like,
yes,
you know, and
it definitely was. And the pivotal point was the target that he picked first in that combat. Had he picked the back target, then I probably wouldn't have been able to get his backfield as easy, and it would have probably changed the game big time. So
it's a good point. That's when he used the succubus instead of one of the other squads, and then you just railed him.
Yeah, he didn't realize what the back squad could actually do.
Nice.
He thought, oh yeah, he might lose like his Reavers or the Incubi.
Not both.
Because I got both. He was like, that's not good.
Yeah, Tide of Convergence, man. Those mortal wounds, those like sneaky last two mortal wounds are like so pivotal.
Well, that's where words of power actually came into. It was a pivotal role for that. That was probably the
Oh, that
reason why I was able to.
was your words of Power Squad too, huh?
Yeah, because I'd buffed in the previous turn, um,
Nice.
and last year next command phase. So
Mm-hmm.
in his fight phase, I still had that up, and the Drago rerolls, Hammerhand, everything was on him. So
Whoop whoop.
yeah. In the end, I got 12 points on grind them down, 15 points on priority targets, and 9 points on assassination, which I would have got 12 if I could have got Drazar down, but
Yeah.
didn't. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually would have got
Assassination's always
13
kind
points.
of a. Oh right, because he was the warlord.
Warlord.
Yeah. Assassination's always kind of a tough one because you're never right. Like if they know that you have it, then they can take extra precautions to protect their HQs. I guess Drukhari not so much because they like their HQs are some of their best melee units. So like Drazar rerolls all hits and all wounds, and he can fight twice, and he's got a great profile, and he actually gets his own aura, which most
Got +1 to
characters
wound.
don't now. So yeah, I mean he's very very good, and you don't want someone with a profile like that to not be in combat. So I guess in that case you kind of have to like stick him out. But
Yeah, and the bodyguard rule for his Archon didn't really help him much because I could just mortal wound him to death, which is what I did. So.
yeah, so cool. I mean, you managed to avoid sisters. Looks like there were a few Iron Hands players. That's pretty cool. Blood Angels, a couple of Black Templars players, a Nids player even, some Knights, some Orcs, Gene Stealers cults. Wow, and oh wow, even 1,000 Suns player. Cool.
Yes.
That would have been an
Yeah,
interesting matchup. Longest psychic phases ever.
I know.
I
Those
cast that in eye. I cast
Cabal
that in
points.
eye. I cast that in eye.
Yeah, but they're undeniable using 8 of their Cabal points.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
pretty awesome too. So, and they've got the turn off your invuln power as well, which is
Yeah, directly
brutal.
counters Sanctuary. They also have the Soul Reaper auto cannons, which are basically ranged power swords. Strength 5, -3, 1 damage. Woo! That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, they're an interesting force. I think they got a lot of power in their psychic phase and in a lot of stratagems, but I don't think they got as much power in the units as Grey Knight's got. We've got a lot of our power in the units themselves.
I mean, the 5-up invul for almost everything is
Yeah,
pretty
that's true.
legit. Like, especially when you're
I'd
thinking
like
of your
that.
troops as like, we're just gonna sit here and hold objectives, right? Like, it's good. It's pretty good.
I'd be happy with a 5-up invuln on my whole army
Right? Right?
or all of my troops.
I feel like in a way we're kind of like Drukhari in that. Like, obviously we are more durable than Drukhari, like, hands down. But, there's so much AP out there right now that if you're caught out in the open, if you're not protecting yourself with like, charges and then consolidates or staying out of line of sight or whatever, 5-man interceptor squad that without like sanctuary on it or a 5-man strike squad is actually pretty easy to kill.
I'd
Like,
actually never yet say that we're like the glass cannons of the marine ones now. Really,
yeah, in a
like
way, for sure.
we like without taking Terminators and Paladins, we don't have that invuln on majority of our units.
Yeah.
So where all the other Marines have access to like the storm shields and things like that. And
Oh man, could you imagine paladins and storm shields? Ugh. Mwah. But apparently, the only one who has one is Drago. He's the only one that found one. or procured one.
Even better.
Oh.
He's got a better than a storm shield though. He's
Yeah,
a 3-up involved. So
he's got that 3-up now. Yeah, or again, or something.
yeah, again.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I guess he had it in
yeah,
8th, and then we lost it with 9th hit, and now he's got it back again.
they found it. Found its little +1.
Yeah, very cool. So overall, like, how was the event? Was it well put together? Was there a decent amount of terrain? Like, how were the other players? You know.
Majority of it, yeah, there was a decent amount of terrain, all scattered over the board. You did have to put yourself out there. A lot of the objectives were you couldn't hide in a building and be in range of it, so you did have to be exposed with some of it. I guess the Iron Hands one was the only one that was detrimental to not having enough cover in my deployment zone to put all my army into, but
That sounds like
gotta
a
learn
rough
from that.
matchup. Yeah.
It was a rush matchup and I didn't get first turn. If I got first turn and could have taken out 2 or 3 of his dreadnoughts, I would have been in a much more comfortable position going forward. But
I believe it.
it comes down to dice rolls sometimes, and those 3-up involves weren't happening on my dreadnought. So
Man, I had one of those games just last weekend too, where yeah, I popped it and then I had to make like 5 saves and I rolled like 4 1s and 2s. It's like, well, that's it. He's dead. Like, there's nothing. Like, whoops. What do you do?
Definitely does it sometimes as well. You're like, come on, Drago, you got a 3-up in one. Save yourself, mate.
Yeah.
No, 1s and 2s.
Well, my opponent was laughing at me because back in 8th when I started playing, we were playing a game. He was Alpha Legion, I was Grey Knights, and I put a 3-up invul on my Grandmaster because at the time you could cast Sanctuary on it and it would increase the invul by 1. And I think I made at that game we counted it and I made like 60 3-ups or something. And he's like, it's just payback, right? Like, because I was indestructible and he was like he was like pulling his hair out trying to kill that Grandmaster.
Some of those games, yeah, it's just crazy how many 3-ups you can roll, and then other games it's just like, yeah, 1s and 2s my dice.
That's it. Yep, that's how Terminators die, man. Is by rolling once. That's the way you kill them. Your opponent has to roll once. Well, very cool, man. It's awesome to always speak to other people all over the world. It's so fascinating to me how like the metas are very different. Even within the United States, you know, there's like very different metas. I was actually surprised. The Down Under or the Normal Blokes podcast talks a lot about how there's a ton of chaos and demon players in Australia, but I'm looking at this roster here. Yeah, and Tasmania, I guess, is a demon free zone.
Yeah. No demons around here. I think I've seen the demons at the events, but I think a lot of the players that have demons were playing other armies. So
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much. Actually, I know it's real late there. If you got some time, I'd like to talk to you about some theory crafting that I'm doing.
yeah, I'm keen. I'm already awake anyway. So
All right, cool. So
what's a little bit extra time?
So in the Grey Knights Discord, if you're not a member of, there'll be a link in the description below, and I'll make sure to get you one. I think you are, actually. Let me check. Yeah, you are. Good man. Anyway, so I made a list last night, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but it started out with paladins, and the idea was I'm gonna make this brick that you can like send up the middle, or you can send to one side, and effectively they're like an anvil that's really hard to kill, You stack multiple buffs on them and stuff, right? And then you can send the majority of your army up the other side and just start uh, pulverizing. It's a very like Dark Angels ish style, right? So I was gonna start with paladins because they've got armor resilience in Tide of Shadows. In cover, they're at like -1 armor save or something. So you need AP3 even to get them to their 2-ups. And so plasma to even get them to 3-ups. They've got 3 wounds, obviously. You can put hammer hand on them, or no, you can't. Wait, actually, yeah, you can, right? Can you take
They can
take
pick
hammer
their
hand on them?
powers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you can pick your powers.
so
And I think they pick 2, and you can cast 1. I think.
yeah, and then you I think you can always spend 1 CP to have them cast 2 if you really need it. Anyway, but then I was like, okay, so paladins are very expensive. We all know that. So what if we switch that to Terminators and bring a preserver detachment instead? Bring an apothecary, and that way they can cast their Brotherhood power, which the paladins wouldn't get, which would leave them with all those same buffs minus armored resilience. Obviously, they'd be like 0 up in cover, -1 to hit from shadows. They'd have a 5 up in bull. You could take a warding stave or 2 for a 4 up against any like heavy shooting, and then they're also gonna have a 5 up feel no pain from the apothecary and the Brotherhood power. And even if the apothecary needs like late game when you have few units left, if you have the apothecary go do something else from their Brotherhood power, they can still have a 6 up feel no pain. And that just seems like a ridiculous amount of stacked defenses, where when you even rattle off all that, folks are gonna be like, I'm gonna shoot something else. Right? Or I'm gonna charge something else, because that's absurd.
Yeah, definitely. So you cut out before too when you were saying about paladins, and then you came back and was talking about Terminators.
Oh,
So you
I'm
were
sorry.
talking about
Yeah, I was saying that I had originally done this theory crafting with paladins, but then I realized that the preservers power is the 6 up feel no pain, right? And then it specifically says that it stacks with the apothecary, which gets them in cover with shadows. That's -1 to hit, 0 up armor save, 5 up invul, 5 up feel no pain. If you bring a warding stave or cast sanctuary on them, now they have a 4 up invul, and that's just like 3 wounds. That's just so rough, so hard to shift. And if you try to dig them out, they can also cast hammer hand because they're Terminators. So you spend 1 CP, you get both powers, and now you're gonna go charge a blob of dudes that's gonna swing back 31 times, no, 41 times, rerolling all wounds. Like, it's just like, no, I don't want to go over there. You can have it. You know what? You can have that objective.
I do think like the paladins do have the advantages, but I think getting that 5 up feel no pain from the preservers would be better in that scenario to be able to make that unit survive. And if you're taking a brick of 10 Terminators, that is a lot of wounds to get through. And like you said, you're committing so many resources to shoot that or even fight it in the fight phase. And if you don't get it back down, that
Apothecary. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's going to bring back a model the next turn as well, and
So the
how many points did that come in at?
Oh man,
I guess it was.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say, is that you're basically bringing an entire patrol in my list here to do this. So I'm including this in the cost. So it's 2 CP, 440 points.
Yep.
And then because I put 2 psi cannons in there as well.
Yep.
And then there's also, I've got them supported by both an apothecary and a Brotherhood Ancient, and the Ancient is there to do empiric amplification if anybody actually
Yep.
does go after them. The Gyro Temporal Vault for Fight First, which is mainly there to remove Fight Last.
Yep.
Because Fight First is okay, but Fight Last is really dangerous.
Yep.
And then the apothecary would also have heroism's fervor or favor. So if anybody tries to get sneaky and do like a 2-inch charge, you can heroically heroically intervene into them and then fight them first. So I like, it's a lot, right? And it's a theory craft. I don't really know if this is good or not, but this is so you're looking at minus Drago, you're looking at about 700 points and 2 CP, a relic, and a Wisdom of the Prognosticars upgrade. So it's a lot. But
It is.
you're locking down like the middle or one whole side of the board was my thoughts, and then the rest of your army can go, which in this list would have been Drago, a Dread Knight, 25 interceptors, a strike squad, a brother captain, and a chaplain. And then there's also a unit of servitors in there that could just do whatever. But mainly to hold another objective because you're down so many bodies because the Terminators cost so much. But you could always like MSU the Terminator blob if you wanted to. You know, combat squad it in whatever game. I kind of want to try this out, but I do miss having all those Dread Knights because I love Dread Knights. As we said at the beginning, what an amazing model.
Yeah. Like I'll be pushing big time for Dread Knights at the moment. I think I've even got a list to do like a 5 sword bearer, like 5 Dread Knights, 4 and a sword bearers, and then 1 in the other detachment. But
Yeah.
anyway, coming back to your Terminators, I think it'd definitely be interesting to see how they would go. I guess the biggest threat is could they stand up to the AdMech shooting, when you're shooting, is it, I think a blob of 20 will shoot 60 shots into them.
Yeah, I mean that's
Uh,
a fair question. Yeah,
will they get one shot from something like that? I guess that you'd have to math out the numbers with that to see how that would work out. But like you said, I think if it's 60 shots, they can ignore cover. So I guess you'd be up to your 4+ invuln on those 60 shots.
yeah, -1 to hit. Luckily, which I don't know if they. Oh well, they would.
I'll just
Yeah,
cancel that out with
right. Yep.
+1
Yeah. I mean, I think they
on
would
their.
ignore it anyway, because I think if you ignore cover, you ignore shadows entirely.
Yes,
Or
correct. Yeah.
it acts as if they had cover, and if they do have cover, then they also get -1 to hit. But if they remove the cover, then they remove the -1. So, yeah, I guess you're right. This whole thing kind of falls down because now you're on 4 ups and then 5 up. Feel no pains and 60 shots coming in.
So you're
You
going to
know,
hit with 40, and then I can't remember if that's strength 4 or strength 5.
I don't remember,
Uh,
but
yeah.
but they can
So
also do the
it
strat
does.
to automatically wound on 5s, which they're gonna do. So
Yeah.
a third of those are gonna automatically wound. Actually, probably half are gonna automatically wound. So 20 are automatically going to wound.
And then you're going to get another 10 probably on top of that to 15.
Yeah. So that's
So you're
30.
talking.
That's already enough to wipe the unit, assuming you don't make a single save. You're
Yes,
and then you're gonna save half of those, so 15 are gonna
15.
yeah, and then you're gonna save 5, so you're gonna lose 3. You're gonna lose 3 Terminators if the math actually stacks up.
And then, but you got your feel no pains as well, or did you work out the
Yeah,
feel no
that's
pains as well?
that's yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah. So you're gonna lose 3, and then 1 wound will be on 1 Terminator. You heal that guy back up, and then you bring 1 back on your turn. You have 8. Um, and then you can fire back with um -1 AP, auto wounding on 6s, tons of storm bolter shots. Yeah,
I think
but
it's worth a shot. I reckon it's definitely worth playtesting and seeing how that plays out. But yeah,
plus
it is a massive threat.
the Terminator models are just amazing. And it's sad that they're just not. They're not the optimal choice right now. It's sad.
No, but I think, like you said, people haven't really played around with the codex enough, and it hasn't been out long enough to see if there is a build that makes them viable. And maybe something like this is a way to make them viable.
Yeah, that's a good point. Brother Captain would be there, giving reroll runs to wound. The outrider with all of the interceptors in it would be rapiers, so they get all the extra attacks and stuff. So
Yeah, I assumed that would be,
yeah,
because that's the sweet spot
sure is.
for doing that. So, um, yeah, I think it's interesting and worth a shot and see how it plays out. You got the MSU for the rest of the units to go and
Yeah,
do things if they leave it alone. I guess the only downside is the movement, but we can
well,
obviously deep strike
yeah,
or gate away
gate
and
is so yeah. I mean, actually, that's a great point. I should probably put instead of empiric amplification, I could put gate on that ancient because I mean
I
two.
normally all my lists normally double up on gate because gate's such a
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got gate up
pivotal
on
thing.
my
So.
brother captain too. So, um, and then what's the wording of gate? It's just 1 friendly Grey Knight Psyker. Okay, good. I didn't think that was locked to a Brotherhood, but I wanted to check just to be absolutely clear. But
Well, actually, what I have loved about the new power or the updated powers is that most of our stuff is all 18-inch range, so you can target
oh yeah,
units 8 inches away with Sanctuary or Gate, and it made a massive difference. So you could leave Drago would be in the backfield there and have range to most of your units, which is amazing.
yeah, and you're not. Oh yeah, man, you're not
The
like
only other
stuck
thing,
in that 12-inch anymore.
the other upgrade that I would potentially try and put on would be another Wisdoms or the Prostagar. Um, I think it's in that category. The
Yeah.
Overwatch on 4-ups.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I could do that. I don't know where I'm gonna get the points. I'd have to drop the. I'm at exactly 2,000.
You'd have to drop the servitors, but then you probably don't want to drop the servitors because you
Yeah,
want the bodies to do stuff.
exactly. But that's a great idea. The what is it? Augury of Aggression. I think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's it.
4-up Overwatch once a game. It's pretty.
Oh man, could you imagine somebody charges you and you pop that and then the Cybolt ammunition strat? Come on in, boys. Oh man.
I guess I wish the Terminators had like Relentless still that allowed us to fire heavy weapons without penalty.
Yeah.
It's
I guess way back when, and you probably remember way or more than I do, but Terminator Stormbolters, like you used to be assault. I heard instead of rapid fire, and then we got bolter discipline. I don't know if that's true or not.
yeah, I can't remember actually, but it might be true. And yeah, and we used to have Relentless as well, so I didn't suffer penalties for firing heavy weapons on Terminator models, which were which is
Yeah.
amazing. Which hopefully one day comes back. But
Actually, thanks for pointing that that out. If I drop the two psi cannons and take just two more normal Terminators, is that enough points to put on the
pretty sure
Overwatch?
aren't they 5 points a model?
It is. It is just enough. I can put on the Augury of Aggression. It fits.
I feel like it's worth it.
So yeah, I mean the side cannons were just in there because usually I run like 3 Dread Knights, and that's where most of my anti-tank is. So when I'm only running one, I was like, all right, I need some anti-tank. I might as well stick it on this impossible to kill brick of Terminators. But yeah, it doesn't look like doesn't doesn't look like that's possible. I'll just have to rely on like Cybolt ammunition actually getting into melee.
Yeah, melee would be the way to destroy vehicles, I guess, in that list because you could do a lot of damage there once you get in there. So
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go to bed because it's what? It's is it 1 a.m. there now?
yeah, 1 a.m. I think we just clocked over to. So
Woo! Boy, all right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for all your time. This is gonna be like two and a half ish hours, which is amazing. Um, you're obviously an experienced and knowledgeable player, and you took a codex you'd never even played in an army you'd never even practiced, and you know went up against Drukhari and won, and you're I mean 14th place. I know doesn't sound amazing, but that's like right in the middle again with a codex that's brand new and you've never played. I think that's amazing. Um,
yeah, I was looking over after I'd done it, and I'm like, because like I said, I wanted to go better than what
sure,
I
everybody
aimed.
does.
But
Yeah,
even at a three wins, two loss, if I'd actually just got more points, it actually would have put me up into top 10. So
yeah,
uh,
and that's incredible. So
yeah, and it's like a 37, 38 person event is pretty awesome for something that I didn't
yeah,
actually have any practice in, and was just going off of my knowledge I already had of them and trying to remember everything on the day.
yeah, that's gotta be rough. Like I spent a lot of time. I played an orc friend on last Sunday, or no, on Monday, and I was like constantly in my book, and I felt terrible, but he was doing the same because he's got the brand new Orc Codex too, so he's like also I don't know what I'm doing either. But anyway, thank you again, sir. I'm gonna let you go to bed.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me on the show, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll be in touch.